In a devastated, near-future New York with a technological construct hovering in the sky, Hawkeye is watching a mostly intact building as a young woman approaches it. As the guards open the door, Clint Barton notches his bow and fires without a second thought. The first man is down in a second before his partner can even react. He dies next, right before the girl's eyes. Hawkeye brushes her away as he makes for the door, pulling it back to check the interior. He slinks inside, evading the patrolling thug, but not the camera system. In the heart of the hideout, two men are pressuring a woman into taking drugs in return for a place to sleep. Clint draws his crossbow on them, threatening the pair to let the woman go. One of the thugs tries to pull a rifle on Hawkeye and gets an arrow through his mouth for his trouble. He falls with his finger on the trigger, hitting his friends in the room below. Clint takes down the remaining bruiser with a quick whip of his bow before telling the woman to leave. Unwilling to abandon her sanctuary, she picks up one of the dropped guns. Hawkeye doesn't have time for this. Without even turning to look, he shoots her in the arm, making her drop the gun before turning his attention to what he actually came here for. She runs off screaming while Hawkeye checks the camera footage. He's found the prisoner the gang's holding. But now, the bosses of this den know he's here. Hammerhead and the Owl have grabbed guns and are on Hawkeye's trail. If it's one of them, we can sell him to the big guy as well. An Avenger buys us a lot of free passes. You keep saying that. We're still here, aren't we? As they get close, though, the thugs have an unfortunate close encounter with a bomb. It sends Owl and Hammerhead flying while vaporizing most of their men. Below, the team guarding the prisoner finally hears something. But it's too late. 3 quick arrows take down the entire guard force as Clint steps down to check on his friend. Hey! Hold on, I'm getting my second wind. Spider-Man has certainly looked better. Thankfully, Hawkeye's here. Clint cuts the ropes and in no time has his friend back on his feet. Before they can escape, however, a laser blast hits the room. Owl and Hammerhead have caught up and opened fire on the 2 Avengers. Spidey and Clint duck for cover as the villains keep shooting at them. Clint eventually returns fire with his hand crossbow. The villains laugh, convinced they have Hawkeye badly outgunned. But then, the whole building shakes. All humanoid life forms are to exit the premises immediately. Everyone's running now. Owl, Hammerhead, Hawkeye, and Spidey. The Owl heads to the front, trying to talk to the Ultron drones. Clint readies an explosive arrow as he and Spider-Man finally reach the outside world. We have a deal! The damn deal is we deliver to you, and you leave us alone! Hawkeye knows that's not going to work. He shoots the Ultrons even as they charge up their energy generators, combining bright blue beams to annihilate the hideout from above. The explosion from multiple high-powered arrows can be seen from miles around. The 2 heroes dive to get clear before slowly picking themselves up from the burning wreckage. Even though Spidey's safe now, they can't stay here. They make their way to Central Park, where a crash shield helicarrier is waiting for them. The 2 walk in through what had once been the thing's exhaust port. This isn't going to be pleasant. Considering the week I had, unpleasant sounds absolutely fabulous. Before they can get further in, the 2 heroes are ambushed. Luke Cage and She-Hulk pin them against the walls, while Tony Stark shows up to check if they've been infected by Ultron. The process isn't quick or painless, but after an agonizing wait, Spidey is cleared, with Clint following shortly after him. Jen is still suspicious, pointing out that they could have been followed, but Emma Frost insists that the 2 are clean. The group are taken into the bunker, where the remaining heroes are holed up. Everyone's looking depressed. The mood couldn't be more bleak. Shame on the rest of you for giving up. No one gave up. What do you call this? We have no plan. And whose fault is that? He's working on it. Is that what you call it? New York isn't the only place doing badly. San Francisco's been hit by the Ultron onslaught too. A mysterious woman in a hood makes her way through the ruins. More golden Ultron drones patrol the streets, on the lookout for survivors. They don't find her, however. She's hidden herself in a pile of dead bodies. The woman takes a second to collect herself before heading on her way through the burnt-out streets. Soon enough, she's reached her safe house, using a secret mechanism in a barbershop chair to go deep beneath ground level. A man in a leather jacket has joined her. The 2 talk, identifying each other as Black Widow and Moon Knight, and making it clear how bad things are. The only reason they're safe is because they've got this place, one of Nick Fury's hideouts from the days of the Skrull invasion. Back in New York, the other heroes are finally talking to Spidey, wanting to know if he saw anything the day the Ultron apocalypse happened. He was lounging about at home on the couch when something struck New York. Pete got his mask on as soon as he saw us, swinging out to help. A giant blue construct was crashing into skyscrapers, one after another. Spidey was trying to make his way through it, looking for whatever caused this. He saw a figure right in the middle of the construct, one that was reaching out for him. That was the last thing he remembers. It didn't even trigger his spider sense. He woke up drugged and tied to a chair in Owl and Hammerhead's place. Peter didn't get much out of the villains, but he had heard that they were planning to sell him to Ultron. The heroes aren't sure what to make of this. Why would a world-conquering robot army need Spidey? Why would it need Owl and Hammerhead to bring it Spidey? They debate this back and forth for a while, not sure what it means or what they could do about it. Peter's insistent that they at least try something. Survive. Tony, survive is not something. No, it's not. But that's because we didn't have a plan. Until now. A few hours later, Luke Cage and She-Hulk have gone outside, ready for this new plan. They talk about it briefly, but finally, they get to work. Cage punching Jennifer Walters right in the jaw. The sheer force of this one punch is enough to send cars flying and kicks up a massive cloud of debris. Cage hoists her up in his arms, eventually pulling She-Hulk over his shoulder and starting to walk away from the scene. The heroes took some time to think about this. Captain America is sure of the plan. Spidey confirms again that Owl and Hammerhead got away with stuff because they paid Ultron with superheroes. The heroes aren't sure what this means, but Tony Stark has a theory. Ultron has human desires. He might be a robot, but he can still give in to things like revenge and hatred. Even now, he's won and taken over the world. It might not be enough. Anger at the situation makes Hawkeye lash out, cursing Hank Pym for creating Ultron in the first place. Tony Stark insists that his fellow scientist isn't to blame, but Clint's still furious about this. Hank's actions have doomed the world. Tony defending him, even to a limited extent, makes him furious. Still, as Cap says, they have to focus on trying to get through this. They can sell Ultron an Avenger. It's a way to get one of their team into Ultron's organization, giving them a chance to undermine the robot. They'll need someone indestructible to even have a shot at fighting back. Both Luke and Jen immediately volunteered. Tony Stark tried to shut this idea down, claiming it's not worth risking their lives. Neither of them want to back down, though, eventually settling on Jennifer being the one who sold and Luke Cage making the exchange. Wolverine tries to take one of the roles himself. His healing factor makes him the most indestructible of all. But like Cap says, he's the one Ultron wants most of all. The robot would be happy to take Wolverine apart, melt his bones for more adamantium. Even Tony Stark agrees that Logan going is the worst possible choice. You two agreeing with each other? It is the end of the world. The heroes start making plans. Even if Luke and Jen can pull this off, there's no way they can do this and come back to the space. Cap's already got a plan, though. They can meet back up in the Savage Land. That's one point Ultron won't have reached. Hopefully. Cage and She-Hulk walk off, ready to get to work. Tony Stark and Captain America share one last bitter gaze. Now, Luke Cage is carrying an unconscious She-Hulk through the ruins of Manhattan, ready to try and sell her to Ultron. The pair trek through the desolation of New York towards the sprawling blue towers of Ultron's construct. Cage keeps his face carefully neutral as he clambers over the rubble. Finally, an Ultron drone notices him. More fly up, gathering around the two heroes. I have a Hulk. I want to trade. The drones lead Luke through the ruins of New York to their center of operations. It's a massive, strange tower with multiple spheres resting atop a tripod structure. This thing was never designed for human habitation. Cage turns to the drones, wanting to know what he's supposed to do next. They take the lead, directing Cage to a tiny side entrance. The drones guide Cage through the corridors of Ultron's stronghold, leading him to an anti-gravity room that helps lift them up into the heart of this installation. They emerge into a large central chamber, with a line of golden Ultrons guarding the approach to the figure at the heart of this invasion. But seeing the figure held in the field shocks Luke Cage to his core. The person leading this Ultron army isn't Ultron. It's a half-destroyed Vision, suspended in the heart of this fortress. Luke doesn't know what to make of this. He tries to ask Vision to let him talk to Ultron, stammering in surprise. Vision doesn't respond to the request, just asking Luke what he has to offer. Cage tries to get some clarity on who he's talking to here, Ultron or Vision. Ultron can hear you. Ultron can see you. Cage demands to know where he is then. Vision is silent for a second, lost in the blue field, before... He controls from the future. He watches and controls us all from the Vision writhes in pain, and Cage looks on in shock. They'd wanted to take a shot at destroying Ultron, but the robot isn't even here. Finally, Vision reverts to Ultron's control. Deciding she's heard enough, Jen Walters picks herself back up. She yells to Luke to tell Tony Stark about everything they've learned before throwing him away from the central chamber. Cage crashes out of the Ultron Tower, falling from God knows how many stories up. She-Hulk turns to face the remaining golden drones. She breaks one's head with a palm strike, splintering another's torso with a kick. She follows it up with a punch to one's throat that rips its head off. Before she can get Vision out of his containment, however, one of the Ultrons fires a high-intensity laser right through her head. Jennifer Walters falls to the floor, dead in less than a second. And in his containment unit, Vision hangs his head, utterly defeated. Luke Cage is continuing to plummet through the sky above Manhattan. Now, however, a fleet of Ultron drones have flown up to greet him. The robots all fire their beam weapons at Cage. He's still falling towards the ground, but now he's on fire. Before he can touch the tarmac, however, one of the Ultrons catches Luke, clearly intending to try and capture him. That was the robot's big mistake. Luke smashes it right in the insect-like face. These things killed his wife and daughter. Even as more of the robots close in on him, Luke keeps wrestling with the bots, dragging them down towards the ground. The Ultrons in the air don't let up, firing blast after blast of laser energy at the building. But Cage hits the dirt running, sprinting across the parking garage as it dissolves into rubber under laser firepower. More of the drone swarm is arrived, including several outside. They're close to leveling the whole building at this point. It's still not enough to stop Luke. He jumps from the burning wreckage, smashing into another Ultron with 2 fists. The pair land on a rooftop across the garage, but as Luke turns around, 3 more Ultrons have arrived. These ones are glowing, however, crackling with powerful energy. The explosion is massive, reaching higher than the tallest skyscrapers of New York. What had been one of humanity's greatest sights is consumed by nuclear fire. In the aftermath, buildings across Manhattan start to crumble away, falling into the surging waters of the Hudson River. Over in San Francisco, Moon Knight and Black Widow have been checking out Nick Fury's old files. They're both doing bad, Mark's low on sleep, but Widow's found something interesting. One of Nick Fury's old plans might be their key to ending Ultron. Back in New York, the heroes have thankfully left prior to the nuke going off. Storm's flight powers helping carry the whole convoy far away from New York. Sue Storm adds on her invisibility to cloak them for as long as possible, allowing Earth's few remaining defenders a chance to slip past Ultron's grip. 8 days later, they've reached the Savage Lands. Strangely, an old Quinjet has somehow beaten the heroes here. It's clear something weird happened, but the heroes don't see any sign of Ultron still being here. Thankfully, they soon spot a familiar face. Ka-Zar, Lord of the Savage Land. He leads the heroes back to his village, gesturing to a hut. But before they can check, Emma Frost stops her friends from opening the door. Wolverine can guess why. Luke Cage is in there. Somehow, he survived the nuke, piloted a plane, crashed it near the Savage Land, and crawled his way to Ultron's village. Via Emma Frost's telepathy, Cage tells the rest of the heroes that Ultron is hiding in the future. And then, he dies, alone in the hut. It had taken all of Luke's strength to hold on long enough to share this information with the remaining heroes. But now the team has reinforcements. Black Widow, Moon Knight, and Red Hulk have arrived, ready to bring the hurt to Ultron. Widow starts leading the team deeper into the jungle, following Fury's old notes to find his most hidden bunker. Soon enough, they drew close. Cap orders most of the heroes to guard the perimeter, while Sue Storm goes in to find the entrance invisibly. It takes her some searching, but soon enough she's found a keypad and a massive vault door concealed beneath the earth. Thankfully, they have a Hulk. Red Hulk pounds on the door. Fury's engineering withstands 3 punches from the Hulk, but the 4th knocks it off its hinges. The big guy heads right into the bunker. Before he can tell Cap what he sees, however, someone opens fire on him with a massive gun. The bullets are enough to drive even Hulk back. Ka-Zar throws a javelin in support, but the stranger catches it. Nick Fury beat the rest of the heroes here. This was his bunker after all. Before he lets the rest of the heroes in, he scans them for signs of Ultron modification. There's one more tense standoff as Fury checks his device before finally giving ground. Okay then, welcome to the end of the world. He lets them in, though he roasts the heroes for taking so long to get here. Fury's been in the bunker for a week now, getting ready. He tries to joke a little with the heroes, but no one's in the mood at this point. What's the plan, Fury? For real, you're down here in a doomsday scenario. You're the man with a plan. What's the plan? You're standing on it. This bunker is Dr. Doom's old time platform. Fury's already worked out that Ultron's somehow attacking them from the future. The old soldier is solemn at the news Cage died getting that information. Now, though, they're ready to try and strike back. Black Widow, Moon Knight, and Red Hulk are ready to jump through time to try and take Ultron down. That was Fury's plan, though he wants a bigger squad. This will take a combination of raw firepower, stealth, and technical knowledge. But before he can pick people, Tony shoots this entire idea down. Ultron likely knows they're coming. Luke Cage learning about the future could have been a trap. Even if it wasn't, Ultron now knows they're coming. He'll be ready for them. Quicksilver protests that this is their only hope to save the world, but Wolverine's got another idea. We go back in time before this robot was created, and we cut off the hands of the guy who created it. Hank Pym created it. So we go back there and cut off his head. The other heroes aren't impressed by this. Hank Pym's made mistakes, but he's ultimately a hero. Valkyrie and Quake both suggest simply telling Hank not to make Ultron. Wolverine isn't willing to do that. Anything less than killing Pym runs the risk of Ultron being created. Hank will just view any sort of warning as a challenge. But in turn, killing a founding member of the Avengers would cause a ton of changes to the timeline. Minor changes in the past can have massive effects on the future. This could lead to some whole new apocalyptic event. Storm calls Logan out. He doesn't know what killing Pym will do. Still, he insists any alternate timeline has to be better than this. Wolverine asks Tony Stark a simple question. Someone like me or Captain America shows up on your doorstep and tells you specifically not to do something. Do you do it? Tony doesn't have an answer, bouncing the question to Cap. Steve can't respond either. Everyone's too tired, too worried to make the moral argument against what Logan's saying. Nick Fury, meanwhile, is just working on the time platform. While he's doing that, he throws open his armory door, giving the heroes all the gear they could want to fight Ultron. The team arms up in double time, Tony finding an old suit of his armor and Hulk picking up Ares' divine war axe. Fury has his team worked out, and Iron Man can guess where they need to go once they're in the future. The remaining heroes will keep the time platform secure so Ultron can't pull in reinforcements to deal with them. In a flash of golden light, humanity's greatest heroes have jumped forward in time, ready to fight Ultron and put an end to his menace. Hey Barton, you got any idea how to get that thing up and running again? You want to chase after him? He wants to go back in time and take care of Hank Pym. No, absolutely not. I've seen everyone die at the hand of this thing. This thing killed Thor, the Thing, Luke Cage, Nick Fury and those guys. They ain't gonna make it back. And I ain't come this far in life to let it all go to hell like this. Start it up and let me put the world back the way it's supposed to be. And just so we're clear, I ain't asking for permission. I don't know, Wolverine. Messing with time is risky. Look at what happened to Spider-Man 2099 when he ran into the Hulk.